Hello, 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 hello. How are you guys? I'm so happy to be here. I haven't been live, I think, like for over a week. And so I really missed you guys. So I just wanted to say hello, get on here, share with you guys all of the things that, are coming through in my awareness and things that I feel will hopefully benefit you. I'm gonna even do like a nice prayer to start this all off, and just trusting that everything that is shared here is, for the highest good and for the highest intention, and that, those that are meant to hear it are gonna hear it, and those that this message is for, then, it's not for them, and that's fine too. So when you get on, please say hello. Let me know that you're on here. Tell me how you're doing so that I can say hello back to you. And I'm just gonna tag a few people and then also share this into my group, which if you're not in my group, the Mother Lover Ship, you definitely wanna be in there. They do get exclusive content. The Mother Lover Ship is basically for anybody that is working with the divine feminine, meaning working with the concept of unity consciousness, of the fact that we are all held, by the mother, and that everything is designed perfectly, and that we're always connected, even when we think that we aren't, or we feel that we aren't. It's only because we've forgotten. It's only because it's our biology that allows us to kind of slip into this amnesia of forgetting and feeling that separateness. But the truth is that we're always connected, and that we're always loved and always supported. And so this is something I'm going to talk even more about in today's live. But before I do that, like I said, let me just tag a few people. And again, when you get on here, please say hello so that I can say hello back to you. And then I'm going to be sharing this in my group. And then, yeah, if you want to get into the group, just comment, and I will send you the link, because they do get exclusive content, and it's just like a really nice community that I'm just so happy to be a part of. So anyhow, so let me check and see if this is working. I'm sure that it is, but awesome. Okay, cool. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna start a little bit with some centering, some grounding, working with some sound. We're gonna call in the directions, and
Alrighty, so I'm just gonna start a little bit.
Okay, cool. Got it. All right. So calling in the direction of the east. Oh, east, where the sun rises every morning without fail. The green color in our lives, the green color of springtime, that energy that allows us to dance, to thrust and yield, and to reach up for the sun. Thank you so much for your presence here in our earth. Thank you so much for your presence here in everybody's life. Thank you so much for your presence here right now in this moment. Aho. And I also call upon the direction of the south, and where the sun shines at its brightest, at its zenith. And we have the element of fire and the essence of summertime. And there's fruit hanging from the trees, and there's so much sun and so much heat and so much warmth that we are free to expose and shine our true colors, just like the sun shines. And we have heart healing, and we have romance with life. Thank you for your presence in our world. Thank you for your presence here in this container, and thank you so much for your presence right now in our lives. Aho. And just as the sun rises in the east and it reaches its zenith in the south, and then it sets in the west. And in the west, which is where our egos die as the sun is swallowed by the earth, and we go to meet with the others in our life, and we get the sunset. We get balance, justice, beauty, harmony. And we go to meet with our family, those that are our roots, those nearest and dearest our heart, those that are buried in the soil and our memory. It's the liquid place, the fluid place, the place of the West, the place of the ancestors. At the times of Atlantis and Lemuria, where we were in this space that is not quite being in a body and not quite pure consciousness, but an in-between. Thank you so much for your presence in this world and in our lives and in this moment right now. Aho. I ask that you guide us. I ask that you support us. And I ask that we are able to see what is for us to let go of, to shed our skins, to shed the ego, to shed the places where we are still in separation. Aho. And just as the sun rises in the east and it comes to its zenith in the south, and then it sets in the west, and then it goes into this place where it is underneath the earth. We cannot even see the sun at all. It's the essence of winter time. And this is the north. This is the path of the warrior. This is the path of boundaries, of drawing lines in the sand, of where when we're in the darkness, we tap deep into the pilot light of our souls, and we tap into that place of authorship and authenticity, and we know who we are. We say, I am the presence in the darkness. I am here. And it's that fire, that passion that allows us that even in the darkest of nights, where we must go out into the winter to bring back food for the tribe, to bring back food for our loved ones, to bring back food for our families. We draw lines in the sand and we say, no, this is where I stand. Thank you so much for your presence in our lives. Thank you so much for your presence here in our earth. And right now in this moment, Aho. I call upon all of our angels, all of the power guides, all of the ancestors, the gods and goddesses, all of the planets and stars, angels. I think I've said it so many times, whatever different manifestations of the one, the deities, the devas, the angelic realm, the other dimensional beings, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Aho, your presence is felt. Oh, Jessie, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, soul sister. Ah, so good to have you here. So for anybody else that also wants to get on and say hi, please let me know. I would love to say hello back to you, whether you're catching this live or on the replay. So I'm going to just start sharing a little bit, and then I'm going to going to be sharing just, you know, what's going on right now. You know, hopefully bringing you guys some clarity, bringing you some support, bringing you some love, some connection, some joy, some laughter. And then also we're going to sing another song that, you know, I really, really love. So what is it that I want to share? Today is a really special day. Of course, every day that we have upon this beautiful planet is a blessing and is a gift. But today is significant in that this is the day that Venus is our hearts. Venus is how we connect, you know, to those that we love in our life. She is the goddess of love. She's the goddess of relationships. Also the goddess of creative power, of how we renew and we regenerate ourselves. It's, you know, she is what makes life worth living. She is, when we are in joy, when we are, you know, in the warmth of our friends and families, you know, we are in the presence of the goddess. Okay, and so, you know, all of the planets have their own dance. Okay, around the sun, they have their own cycles, their own rhythms, right? And so today is the day that Venus is, she is in what is called the throne room of the king, meaning she is really, really close to the sun right now. In fact, the sun is burning so bright, she is so close to the sun in our skies that we cannot see her. Because the sun, that light of the sun is literally purifying our hearts right now. And so as we are just being aware of what's going on in our world and what's going on in our families, what's going on in our lives, I'm sure a lot of us, this is what we're seeing, right? And so this is happening in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is the sign of the twins. It is the sign of the lovers. It is also a sign of where we get duality from, this concept of black and white, of up and down, left and right and wrong, in and out, all of the opposites, right? Anytime that we're saying, oh, that's not me, right? What we're doing is we're creating duality. We're creating this place of identity and separateness, right? And so this is something that I really want to talk with you guys more about, because this is like a theme that's up for us right now. Because what Gemini also brings to the mix, right, is Gemini is the sign of the child. It's where we have this ability to look at life like through the eyes of children, where everything, it's innocence, right? And so I think this is really important to remember and reclaim as, you know, as children, you know, and I'm just going to speak to like what's happening right now. Like there is no race, right? Like there is not even this concept of race. Okay. And so, but also with Gemini, what we get is the ability to see from all of the different angles. Okay, this is the gift of Gemini, okay? And I'm going to speak to the shadow of Gemini, meaning when we find ourselves not feeling good, right? We are in what's called shadow, right? We've forgotten the truth, okay? So when we're in the illumined expression, when we're in Gemini at its best, right? Quote unquote best. Hey, Andrew, thanks for tuning in. What we're able to see is we're able to have all of these different perspectives. We have diversity. We're able to see things from many different perspectives. Okay, and so as long as we are keeping our own perspective and our own opinion and our own viewpoint, we have a blind spot. Okay, so for example, meaning and this is nowhere more true than in relationships, you know. So in the two space, remember duality, the yin and yang. So in a relationship, when we're having conversation and communication with anyone or anything, you know, I have my perspective. From here, this is how I see the issue. I stay here. As long as I stay fixated on how I see the issue, I do not see it from somebody else's perspective, right? And so this is really important for all of us, you know, to just, you know, bring awareness to, right? And at the same time, so this is where Venus is having her rebirth today. Okay, it's Venus's cycle around the sun is an 18-month long journey. Okay, so what we are experiencing today, what we are in the wake of is a much bigger cycle. It's not just about what's happening now. This is something that through the next 18 months, we all have the opportunity to go on a journey, to go on an adventure, to pierce our own hearts, to go on the adventure of self-penetration, meaning going into our own hearts and sitting with our own shadows, sitting with our own blind spots, sitting with the mirrors of everything that we see outside in the world that we quote unquote aren't happy with. Because it's everything that we experience in life is always our perspective. Always our perspective. Right? And how we view our world is our reality. You know, like there was that movie, The Matrix, right? That's been around for a long time now. And so more and more of us, you know, are becoming aware of this concept of what reality is and what reality isn't, right? And so our perspective is always everything. And we have the ability, this is something that I've been working with and landing upon and just over and over again have found it to be so true, is that there is nothing that we can do that actually changes our reality. And I'm going to say that again. And then I'm going to break it down a little bit further. There is nothing that we can do that actually changes our reality. So, meaning we change our perspective first. When we really and truly change our perspective, meaning how we're seeing something, when we see things as God sees, right? We have that omniscience, that ability to see everything, right? This higher way, right? It's from this place when we take ourselves out of the picture. And this is the challenge, right? Because when we're hurting, when we're feeling like we've been wronged, when we're feeling like we're not understood, when we're feeling like we're the victim, we put ourselves in the very middle of the picture. We put ourselves in ego. And I'm not saying that ego doesn't serve a purpose. Absolutely, we actually need ego. Ego serves as the rocket booster. And this is a quote that comes from the Gene Keys. Hey, Brooklyn, thank you for joining us. Brooklyn, by the way, she sang for me the other day. I was like so blown away. She has a voice on her. So thank you for sharing that with me. So glad that you're on here today. So again, anytime that we're not really clearly seeing things if we are in the middle of the picture. We have to remove our sense of self and our sense of ego from the picture in order to truly see. Okay? And this is something that is practiced a lot in alchemy, right? As we are purifying and transforming the lead of our souls, meaning, and just like to make this practical, make this simple, meaning all of the crap, all of the junk that we're not happy with in our life, that is essentially the lead of our experience, meaning it's the heaviness, it's the darkness, it's the burden, right? It's the shadow, it's the Maya, right? In order to transform that, right, we go through this alchemical process in which we burn down our sense of self to purify. And that's what's happening today. This calcination is the first phase of alchemy. And again, this is a process that I take everybody through in so many different ways in all of my containers and in my one-on-one work. But, you know, to give you guys the context of where we're at right now with this Venus cycle is we are in the fires of hell, right? This is the part of the Venus cycle where she goes into the depths of hell to visit her shadow, her twin sister, Ereshkigal. And she is literally hung on hook to die, right? She's in hell, and in the fires of hell, this is where we burn down the walls. We burn down the walls, the boxes that we put around ourselves, the limitations and the labels that we put around ourselves and say, I'm a black person, I'm a white person, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm this, I'm that, I'm beautiful, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I'm whatever. You know, I am are the two most powerful words that you can ever say. And every time that we say that, what we're doing, right, is we're creating our sense of will and identity, right? And so what's happening as Venus, our hearts, the love goddess, is she's in the phase of alchemy where she's burning down the house. And no, I mean, we don't, you know, you guys can look outside and in our world and see the hell, right? To see the chaos, to see the fires, to see the passion, right? And so something that's really important, that's even more important as part of this Venus cycle that we're in, if we really want to look at this holistically, right? Because this is happening in the sign of Gemini, right? But in the middle of the cycle, the other side, when Venus gets to the other side of the sun, okay? Right now where Venus is the earth is here, Venus is here, and the sun is over here. So from our perspective here on earth, the light of the sun, the fire of the sun, the king, the soul, the unity, the all that is, right? That's burning Venus right now. It's purifying our hearts, okay? But in 9 months' time, a gestational cycle, which is why Venus rules over fertility, renewal, and rebirth. Hey, baby girl, Venus is going to be on the other side of the sun in the sign of, and this is her dance with the sun. Hence why I've named my program Star Disco, because it is this is how I work, right? And this is how I love to work, is all of life is a dance. All of life is an ebb and flow. And the more that we learn to dance, and the more that we learn to dance in the rain, right? We can celebrate life for what it is, right? There's nothing bad that ever happens in life because everything is necessary. Nature makes no mistakes. Everything that's happening right now, as horrible and horrific as it may seem, serves a higher purpose. Okay, and I've written about this in so many ways, I'm not going to go into that right now, but I just want you to know, if you are feeling like you're in pain, if you're feeling like you're in suffering, if you feel like you're in separation, just know that it has a purpose, right? And it's up to you to get it. It's nobody's job but your own to get it. It's nobody's job to understand you. You understand yourself. You understand who you are. You get to understand, and you get to create, and you get to write your own story. We all get to do that. And anytime that we want to blame something else, whether it's the government, whether it's a whole race, whether it's our parents, whether it's our partner, our friends, our world, whatever, we've missed the boat, okay? We've given away our power. And so coming back to Venus will be in the sign of Aries, right? She is the warrior, right? And Venus right now is also going to be in her, what's called her morning star phase, which is what's called Lucifer, by the way. And for those of you that want to know more about, you know, working with the shadow, working with the devil, working with, you know, everything that's been shamed, everything, whether it's sexuality, whether it's your voice, whether it's, you know, anytime that we shame anything, right? Anytime that we say that something is bad, right? We're creating shadow. And so there is a whole, there's years and years and years that this has been happening to a lot of different races, to a lot of different groups, to a lot of different people. It's happened so many different times, right? And this memory is in our DNA. It's in the collective, right? And so right now, you know, we're getting to choose, and this is where this Aries piece comes in, is yes, we're all one, right? And we're all reflections of each other, but we get to choose what your role is. You know, how do you want to be a part of this? What is your play? What is your active role in being the change? Okay, some of us are, you know, meant to be on the ground floor and meant to be, you know, doing the protests. Some of us are meant to be doing the rage, right? Some of us are, you know, meant to be the visionaries. Some of us are meant to be, you know, the financial backers, or the ones writing, you know, in legislation and writing. Everybody has a role. Everybody has a purpose. Every single one of us has a purpose. You get to choose what that is, right? And it doesn't make your way wrong. It doesn't make somebody else's way wrong or yours right or better or higher than anybody else's. You get to choose how you want to play this out. And it gets to be fun. This doesn't have to be something that feels like hard or suffering, all right? It's only that way if you choose for it to be so, okay? Because we are the creators. We are the creators and the designers of our own reality. So another piece that's really interesting about this, you know, Venus, you know, this rebirth that she's in the sign of Gemini, right? The ruler of Gemini is Mercury, and Mercury is in Cancer. Cancer is in the sign, Mercury is in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is, you know, Cancer is the divine mother, the divine feminine. It's the sign of family. It's your tribe. Hence why we're seeing this play out the way that it is, our sense of tribe, right? And nothing is more tribal than, right, than race, right? But it's also about your family, meaning who is your family? Hey, Sunny, thanks for tuning in, beautiful. How are you? Who is your family? Who are your loved ones, right? Like when there's bombs being thrown out in the world, when there's arrows going left and right, and swords of, you know, of criticism and of judgment, or literal swords, you know, and bricks and whatever else is happening, you know, we want to protect ourselves, don't we? Right? Because we don't want to die. And this is also part of it. This is also what Venus is here. She is facing her death fearlessly. She is willing to give up of her life and face her death. Give of her life willingly. And this is really what racism really, if you really want to boil it all down, it's about the preservation of your species, of the individuality, of not wanting, of our feeble attempt at not dying. And every time that we do things, right, that is in service to that, right, like we're coming from a place of fear.
I love you, Mommy.
I love you too, baby. Right? And not love. Right? And so let's drop in. I'm going to drop in a little bit more, make this a little bit more practical, some things, some takeaways that you guys, you know, for us to be contemplating right now is, you know, number one, you know, keeping our hearts open right now, right? And also recognizing the different roles, you know, and the gifts of being in head space versus being in heart space, right? Like, you know, Gemini is the sign of the mind, right? It's the sign of the both hemispheres, though, right? Of the brain, you know, and our ability to communicate. But even, you know, half of communication is listening. So as we are sharing our viewpoints and sharing our perspectives and asking questions, and, you know, we're also looking at the media too. We're looking at the power of the media and how powerful our words are, our thoughts are, how powerful the media, you know, how it's just really interesting how, you know, what we're seeing in the media, how that can shape our perspective around what we think is really happening in the world. And how it can also be a distraction. Hi Elena, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in, sister. So, you know, the media, right? Like communication and how powerful that is, and how, you know, is it distracting, right? Like how are we choosing to spend our time? Right? Spending our times, hey Tim, with our loved ones, right? Like, and so in whatever way you're choosing to share and, you know, and to make change, you know, by raising your voice, by listening, by taking a stand, by being the change agent, but at the same time, like also not getting distracted by all of the different things out there, right? And always being able to return back in to the wisdom of the heart, right? And after we commune with the heart, right? Because communication, community, meaning a communion, meaning where we are uniting the head and the heart, meaning where uniting our, you know, our mind, our words with our heart, you know? And so this is also something that I've been working with a lot, is just really being mindful of where are we speaking from. Are you speaking from head space, or are you speaking from heart space? My Cham's, you know, dad always, you know, I love him for this, and he would say, you know, are you speaking from just here up, or are you speaking from here up? And just really being mindful of that when we speak to people and when we listen to people. And you can feel it, right? Like vibration is everything. So you can feel from somebody's words whether they're listening to you or not. You can feel from somebody's writings, you know, what they're experiencing. And so again, with Mercury, you know, the ruler of Gemini being in Cancer, right? It's, you know, we're taking this time to, you know, to feel our feelings, to hold space for other people's feelings, and at the same time also, you know, staying in our divinity, right? And liberating ourselves from the victim consciousness, right? Because that isn't helpful either. As long as we continue, you know, being in this place of blame and shame and, you know, separateness. And I want to make a distinction between, you know, there's one thing to, you know, to have unity consciousness and say, yes, we're all one, right? But at the same time, like, yes, we're all one, but we're all here to shine our unique light. Like each and every one of us has a unique divine purpose, right? Like, so there's a fine line between, you know, going into unity and we're all one, but at the same time, yes, but I am also me, right? And who am I, right? So who are you? And that's like the shadow of Gemini, is Gemini can go into seeing all of these different perspectives and playing all of these different roles, right? And being scattered, right? And listening to everybody else's opinions and listening to everybody else, but they forget to check in and ask themselves, but what is my truth? What is my story? What is the story I am choosing to write? How am I being the author of my story? You know, what is the message I'm choosing to share, right? So anybody have any questions thus far? I'm going to go into a little song here just because I really want to sing. I want to bring in the Divine Mother. I want to ground in the Divine Mother. I want to honor the Mama. I want to honor the Divine Feminine, right? And before I do that, just, you know, from somebody who personally has, you know, I've shared the story, you know, I've been through abuse. I have been in and have a lot of experience with rage and with anger and with, and whenever we are experiencing anger, right? Anger is, it's on an emotional spectrum, right? And so when somebody is experiencing anger, right, it's because they're on a path of raising their energy up into authority, meaning they're finding their power. When somebody is experiencing anger, they're actually not in their power yet, which is why what ends up happening, right, is they lose their control, right? There's this lashing out that happens. There's this blaming that happens, right? They have lost their will, their true will, meaning the divine will. They're not in alignment. But that anger is necessary. That anger, if you suppress it, if you shove it down, if you shame it, right, it actually creates a lot more problems. And what you're doing is you're lowering the vibration, you're lowering the frequency, you're lowering the progression of that energy from raising up into authority, which is why we're seeing this, like issues with authority figures, the police and the government, right? And why there is this battle and this rage, right? Because people are desperate, right? In their desperateness in trying to access their own authority. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save us. There's not going to be a leader that's going to unite us all and make everything go away. It's not happening. What's happening is the powers are being dismantled, where we have given away our power, where you have given away your power, where I have given away our power, where we have collectively, over the years and years and years, given away our power to whomever, and then wanting to blame them for our situation. And so as we dismantle that and recognize, wow, I did give away my power to whomever, a doctor, a president, a teacher, a parent, whomever, an authority figure, a policeman, a white person, a black person, whatever. That is the process. That is the true healing process in all of this. But it's not just about blaming and dismantling. You dismantle it by taking back your power, your own personal sense of recognizing where you gave that power away. And every time you give that power away. So, we are rebirthing. It's not an overnight process. This is something that, again, for at least the next 19 months, the goddess is going to be on this journey. And so, which is why I have created so many of the offers that I have. Love is everything, isn't it, Andrew? Love is everything. And so here we are looking at the balance, right, between the communication. And I'm sorry that actually you came in maybe a little bit later. I started the beginning with music, and I'm going to continue with music in just a bit. And it's good for us to recognize where we're at, right? Like what we are wanting right now, where our imbalance is. Gemini is about balance. I know Libra is a lot of times associated with balance, but Gemini is also about balance. So where is our imbalance? Like, are we more in our head a lot of the times or less in our heart, right? And so it's a good place for us to check in, right? So I'm so glad that she blessed us. That's my little Gemini, by the way, little Simona. And her name means listen, my friend. I named her actually after my grandfather, abuelo. He was something that, you know, I always remembered in my experience of him. Was he would start off his stories. He was a storyteller. And he would always say, listen, my friend, listen, my friend, listen, my friend. And he passed away, you know, not too long before Simone was born. My grandmother, not too long after she was born. And so, yeah, she was named after my grandfather, a storyteller. All right, so let's let it be for a little while. Let's bathe in the arms of the mother right now. I'm gonna pull up these words because I need them. I always, when I get into the feels, you know. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be, oh, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be, yeah, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be, yeah, let it be. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. And so this is the Divine Mother. This is the Divine Mother, whether your mother is here, whether you feel like you don't have a family, whether you feel like there's no one to protect you, that you're not unconditionally loved, right? And so this is the gift. This is the gift that I'm seeing right now, right? Is like why people don't share their voice, why people don't share their message, why people, you know, don't take that journey, that they don't heed the call of the hero's journey to step onto the path of their own unique mythos, a lot of times is because of the wounds that we carry, right? And this place inside of us where we have the mind, right? And the stories of the mind where we tell ourselves we're not good enough, we doubt ourselves, there's all the red tape, right? Like, you can't do that. Who are you to do that? You know, how dare you think of yourself that way? You know, well, what'll happen if, right? Or they won't understand, or he doesn't love me, she doesn't love me. Like, I'll be hurt, I'll be cast out, I'll be castrated, right? Like, this is the wound, the shame wound that is in the throat chakra that this Gemini Venus is here to heal. So working with the voice, singing, chanting, taking vows of silence, right? These are all different ways that we can heal our voice, that we can heal this place of shame and criticism and judgment and separation and duality. So this is also a new vision, right, that we're being given right now. There's a new dream seed that is being planted in the hearts in each and every one of us. And specifically today at around 5, I forget what time. Let me look at this up exactly. I believe it's 5. Yeah, it's 5. Forgive me, but now it's happening now, right? If you want to take some time today, for sure, to go in and listen, commune with your heart, right? Commune with your loved ones. There's a message. There's a new dream seed that's being gifted to each and every one of us, right? There is magic that's happening, even if you can't see it yet, right? Like, and that Venus is the sign of the artists. She's the sign that is associated with artists, with lovers, with dancers, with healers, with artisans. You know, I said artists already. Women, of course, the things that we love. No artist tolerates reality. And I believe that's Nietzsche. So we're all being given this new dream, right? This new vision. If you're in pain, right? Pain is a passionate cry for a new vision, only to be answered by the erotic rush of your heart. So, you know, this working with the goddess, working with Venus, right? This is at the heart, of course, of all of my offerings. And I have been given so many gifts and downloads right now in this times. I've been doing so much work on myself, and just like there's so much that is available to us right now, right? And so I have a lot of different ways that you can work with me. One of the ways that I really, really love is with, this is my high-level mastermind. It's more of an apprenticeship, and it's called the Vortex of Venus, right? And it is specifically about working with the goddess, right? It's specifically about taking this hero's journey, the heroine's journey, the journey of the goddess, and becoming, you know, your most radiant self, being courageous, recognizing that there is nothing to fear. And following this path of the heart, going on the adventure into bliss, into miracles, literally creating miracles and magic in your life. So this is a high-level mastermind where you get to do this with other high-level artists and women and healers. And I just so love this so much. It's like one of my favorite things to do, and one of my favorite ways to support people is, you know, in this group type container. So and there's been so many people. Thank you so much for those of you guys that are reaching out to work with me and that are working with me. I love you guys so much. I know that this work it isn't always easy, right? It's not easy for our mind, right? But it's easy for our hearts. It's easy for our souls, because tough choices, easy life. Easy choices, tough life, right? And so when we're willing to make the decisions, to choose to decide what our standards are for our life, what we're choosing for our lives, how we want to authorize our own story, right? We get to write our own fairy tales. We get to write our own fairy tales, people. And I mean, I'm just like blown away how this has been happening in my life, right? And so this is the journey that I have personally been on, working with the goddess, working with Venus, working with the Venus cycles. And there's so much more to this. I mean, there's just like, it's beyond when you start working with the goddess and going down, right, to the depths of hell and reclaiming up and ascending through and reclaiming all of the adornments, all of the sacred regalia of the goddess, right? The red robe of manifestation, the anklets of creativity, the girdle of power, the breastplate of compassion, the necklace of communication, the earrings of perception, the crown of intuition, right? And so all of this is how, is a journey, right, that Venus is about to go on, right? And so this is something that happens, right, that I will be leading you through, and I elucidate it in your own personal chart. There's just, oh my God, there's just like so much. And so all of this is in the vortex of Venus. Again, if you have questions about this, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to go over it with you. And then I also have Star Disco, which is it's beyond fitness for sexy witches. It is my signature star program of how I work with astrological magic, right? So if you've always wanted to learn about astrology, always wanted to, learn more about your chart, learn about the stars, right? But do it in a really embodied way, do it in a really like experimental way, and not just about receiving the information, right? But also the active component, right? Of creating magic with your life, creating magic with the stars, and learning how you can do all of this in the body, right? How I work out and how I train and how I nourish my body. And I literally channel starlight, I channel moonbeams into my body to create power objects, to create talismans, to build my light body. This is Star Disco. It is a year-long study course, but I've also designed it that if you want to commit to 3 months, because if you want to do it for the year, okay, the year is like, I want to learn astrology, and by the time that I'm done, like, I want to be proficient in astrology. I want to be confident and proficient in saying I can read charts, I can cast charts, and I can cast charts with the proficiency in order to elect for astrological, magical elections. Then you're going to want to do Star Disco for the year. If you're like, no, like I just really want to get in the dancing portion, I want to do this for my fitness, I want to do this because I want to learn about like specifically like how, I work with the stars on a real time every basis, for role play, for ritual, for learning about the green path, for like how I work with the stars on every day, right? And not be limited to them, right? But it's about a relationship to them, then you can do it for the 3 months, right? And if you do it for 3 months, you can always come back in for a month at a time if you want to, but the minimum commitment, and it is a commitment, right? Because, and I highly see this and recommend this in all of my work, right? Is we need to make a commitment. You've got to make a decision. If you don't make a decision, if you don't, fully commit yourself to something, then it's kind of like this, you don't make much traction, right? Like the subconscious doesn't have that mojo behind it to start creating a new lifestyle, to start creating the positive momentum of the habits, right? So at a minimum, Star Disco is 3 months, but again, like it's really like if you're like, I want to learn astrology, like I want to learn astrological magic, and I want to really see my body transform and how I've transformed my body in a way that's fun, you're gonna want to do the year. So that's Star Disco. And the other last offering that I have is more of my intro level of working with me, which is called The Galaxy is My Runway, okay? And so this is all about working with the divine feminine. This is all about working with the moon, and this is a reset, right? Like if you're and it's a lot, if you're finding like trouble with your balance, meaning like you're having a hard time balancing your career with your home life, or your need for personal space and in relationships, you know, or your sleeping is off, your hormones are off, or you just feel disconnected, you feel out of sync, you feel like something is like off, right? Like you feel, or you feel too regimented, or perhaps you're like way in too much like, you know, like rigid and like in control, and you don't have the fluidness, you don't have the flow, you don't have synchronicities happening in your life all the time, which when you do this, this is what will happen, right? Like when I started doing this and really implementing in this, synchronicities is a way of life for me, right? That's what this is about. It's really tapping into the power of the feminine, right? The divine mother, Mother Mary archetype, right? And so this is called The Galaxy is My Runway, right? Because it's beyond our perception of like, we are a part of something so much bigger, right? Like we're always in sync. We just forget. So this is my intro level. It's 4 weeks. It's fucking amazing. I love it. Like the modules in there are just, I go into style and about what style really is above and beyond like your own clothing choices, your own fashion choices, but it is that as well. But it's about going from living this sense of mediocrity where people don't have the courage to be themselves, right? Because we're afraid of being different, right? And when we're afraid of being different, the witch wound, right, of which I've been speaking of in this whole from the get-go, right? It's what creates mass mediocrity in our life, right? And we don't have our own personal sense of style, right? We are then prey to people's projections upon us, which is, I mean, that's what racism is, right? Like a big part of it is like this projection that, you know, that they, you know, and has created this horrible dogma and this oppression. And we can become immune to this, right? Like projection is not something that is just limited to racism. Anytime, a lot of people experience this in relationships, and this is why a lot of people have, you know, problems and difficulties and disconnections in their relationships, is because relationships are mirrors, right? And a lot of times we're projecting our own needs, our own codependent needs, you know, of seeking wholeness onto our partners and our blame onto, right? But when you really come into your own, when you realize and you work with the moon, you become immune to other people's projections. It's like, it doesn't even faze you because you are having your own unique perception of life that is your own. It's not a filter. It's not this conditioning, right? So will teach you about that. And it's just, c'est magnifique. So that is The Galaxy is Your Runway. I still actually have early bird pricing on that. So if you want to get in on that, there's early bird pricing on that. Early bird pricing is, is done now for Star Disco, but it's still open and available. And then of course the Vortex of V, is there. Or if you want to work with me one-on-one, right, is just like, that's if you want to get one-on-one time with me and access to me and access to my codes, access to my frequencies, access to my perspective, and just really being held, right? Like in the vibes and the containers and the standards that I am holding and how I work through and move through you know, with grace, right? Essentially, like grace is such a big piece in all of this right now. So anyhow, I love you guys so much. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, definitely take today, and especially Friday, because Friday is Venus's day. You know, so now through Friday, if you want to take some time to really go inward and tune in and make space, right? Like really create that space for yourself as the artist, as the designer, as the creative of your own life, as the author of your own story in receiving the new vision, right? And so, and like a mother, right, being given this new seed, right? We're all being impregnated with this right now. And so what are you choosing to birth? How are you choosing to be the change, right? And so the more that we are clear on this, right, and we're really in tune with our hearts, the more that we're going to be able to be better caretakers and mothers, mother lovers, as I call it, by the way. Oh, one last thing. If you guys don't know about my group, it's called the Mother Lovership, you know, because it's again, it's all about the divine feminine. It's all about the mother. It's all about the divine feminine rising, right? And so, that's my private, or it's not a, yeah, it's a private group that's on Facebook. So if you want to be in there, they get exclusive content, and it's just a really beautiful space that I have been gifted and blessed to begin cultivating. You know, reach out to me and I can send you an invite for that. And what else? I think that's it. Anybody have any questions thus far? And again, when you get on here, you know, let me know if you're watching live or you're on the replay so that I can say hello to you and connect with you. And let's see. All right, guys, I love you. Mwah.